So I was told to make a tier list for our staff development day. That was the only parameter that I was given, and I didn't like the suggested prompts, so I've decided to rank the 16 personality types based on who I would choose to be stuck on a desert island with. I started to research specific islands for this project, but I got gradually frustrated over the fact that it's not realistically possible that I would ever actually get stranded on any of them, especially with another person. So we're going to have to go with a hypothetical island, as much as I hate useless hypotheticals. I'd like to state that I find this exercise largely pointless, and I'm only doing it because my paycheck depends on it. So let's get started. The first tier I'm using is competent enough to leave me alone. This is obviously my preferred category. People that I place in this tier are those that I would suspect would have a sound level of island survival knowledge and instinct. I'd spend more time defining this category, but it's pointless given how vague in general this exercise is. The second tier is protege with the correct accents on the E's. This is for types who would probably be willing to learn from me. Teaching people how to do cool things is the only form of social interaction that I actually enjoy, so that's why this is number 2. The third tier is adequate. This is for types who can get by, but I'd probably still have to watch them to make sure that they don't perish. The fourth tier is leech, also known as would eat them in case of hunger. I'm kidding, although it's probably a reality that in the case where there is no wildlife, the human instinct would... I'm not going to get into it, as I've previously got in trouble in the office for offending someone simply by just stating biological realities. This tier is for those who would probably follow me around and reap the benefits of my labour. And the fifth tier is no. Okay, so the first type is ISFJ. This hypothetical is already killing me. Based on my research of the Myers-Briggs personality types and also from basic observation of the ISFJ in our office, I feel like I'm going to put them in the protege category. I'm already struggling with having to categorize vague categories like this. I think it's just because they seem like fast learners and are kind of just happy to stick in the parameters that they're given. ISTJ, oh, there are too many categories here. I just want to change the categories to yes or no and just sort them but not have to explain my reasoning. I guess I'm just going to put the ISTJ in adequate. They're probably the types of people who would just learn by doing, but they're not exactly going to ask me to teach them. Gosh, there are 14 more. I'm going to put ENTJ in competent enough to leave me alone, although to be honest, I'd probably cringe at all the methods that they would use to survive. In fact, they'd probably critique my methods of survival with their holier-than-thou tone that implies they know everything, which they don't. So actually, I'm going to put them in no. INFJ absolutely would be leeching off me. They'd probably try to do things for themselves, but fail. ISFP probably could do things by themselves for a couple of days if I'm honest, but I'm going to put them in no just because I don't want to have to deal with all the animal funerals. ESFJ, possibly less annoying on an island because there's nothing to talk about or specifically to gossip about. But they'd probably find something to talk about, wouldn't they? If we were stuck with other people, I would probably like the ESFJ around to keep those people away from me, but alone, my worry is that they'd expect me to continuously acknowledge their existence. Worse, they'd probably want to make surviving a collaborative process, which is fine if it happens organically, but when someone tells me to do it, yeah, no, I couldn't do it. Oh, I don't want to do this anymore, my brain hurts. ENTP, I'd probably have to monitor them because they'd forget to feed themselves, and they'd probably end up making a shelter from like leaves or something. But they would be good for that one night a month when I feel like having conversation. Probably couldn't do more than that because knowing them, they'd want to get existential about everything. I'm going to put them in adequate. It doesn't matter how entertaining I find ENFPs, they're always going to be a no. Look, I'm sure they'd pull their weight and be super innovative when it came to building shelters or fishing techniques, but I just don't want to have to deal with talking to them, especially in an island context. They'd probably want to play island games. I most definitely would not hate having an ESTP on an island, I'd probably choose to go our separate ways rather than working together in any capacity because they'd probably be largely unreliable on a brand new island with 100 new things to do, but that's how I like it, so no complaints here. ESFP, maybe adequate? I think they'd rely on my help in some respects, but they'd also be happy to leave me alone in favor of exploring, although actually they'd probably get bored of that after a day or two and want to share their experience with me. So no. INTJ. Look, they'd probably claim that they're competent enough to leave me alone, but I reckon they'd come to me after 3 days without water with their tail in between their legs, having first tried every possible avenue of getting water that they could think of because they wouldn't want to admit defeat, and they'd try to be all innovative about it in the process, but they'd ultimately have to admit that they don't know what they're doing. And then they'd spend the majority of our days sulking because they'd have to rely on me for survival. Sorry to say it, INTJs, but you're a leech and you know it. INFP. tolerable leech. It's always great when people are happy to stay in their lanes, which for INFP is quietly following instructions. I get the feeling that they're scared of me and too scared to talk. I don't know why, but I'm okay with it. Okay, we're almost done. ESTJ, definitely competent enough to leave me alone, although to be honest, I'd probably want to work with them, even if it takes a few days for them to acknowledge me as the rightful source of authority. INTP, protege, definitely happy to learn, and their useless facts about soil might actually come in handy for once. ENFJ, competent, but I wouldn't pick them just because I have to know that I can work in silence without them hosting an island meeting in which they try and instigate some kind of conch rule. And ISTP, dream island companion, obviously. We'd probably have different ways of doing things, but we'd learn from each other and ultimately double our chance of survival. So there you go, it's done. Please don't make me do this again.